Have you ever wondered how much it'll cost to hire 11 for an event? Well, some of these cast members are actually not as impossible as you might think. But others, you might want to start selling some property. Maybe a kidney too. So get comfortable and let me know in the comments who you think is gonna be the most expensive one. Let's start with the ones you can actually afford. Maybe. Dr. Brenner. And yeah, this might sound a little cruel, but the evil little doctor is actually one of the cheapest people you'll find in the Stranger Things cast. Just to have him show up for one day, you'll be paying around $40,000. And that's him being the cheapest option on the list. But there's actually a reason for that. His character is extremely important to the show. Sure, but older actors are usually less in demand for things like birthday parties, fan events, or private appearances, so their prices tend to stay a little lower. Basically, it's priced that way so you're actually tempted to say yes. But if Dr. Brenner feels a little too old school for you, and you're looking for something a bit more fresh, you could always hire Nancy herself, Natalia Dyer. For about $5,000 more, you could have Nancy right in front of you, basically singing happy birthday in the front row. She's definitely loved by fans, no doubt about that. But she's not exactly the first character that comes to mind when you think of Stranger Things. And because of that, her price sadly doesn't skyrocket as much as you might expect. But what about Max, Sadie Sink? Believe it or not, Sadie is actually one of the cheapest main actors you can hire. She's even cheaper than some actors who only played secondary characters. And yeah, I know it sounds weird. Max is one of the main protagonists, and yet she still sits in a pretty low price range. Around $45,000 to be exact. She used to be way cheaper though, but after season 4 and everything her character went through, her demand went up a lot, and so did her price. So if you had moved fast back in season 1, you could have hired Max for around $15,000. And yeah, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but this is where the cheap and affordable prices officially end. From here on, we're entering the heavyweight territory. At this point, we start running into actors like Gaten Matarazzo. And it makes total sense, because his character, Dustin, is easily one of the most loved characters in the entire Stranger Things lineup. And honestly, he could charge way more than this. But luckily for us, he has a bit of a weak spot. Gaten actually shows up to a lot of fan events, conventions, commercials, and TV appearances. And because he does so many of these, his price doesn't skyrocket as much as you'd expect. So having Dustin as a guest at your event would cost you around $70,000. And that's considering Gaten isn't exactly known for being as money hungry as some other actors. But if Dustin just isn't really your type, and you're more into someone a little more charming, then you might want to go with Joe Keery, aka Steve Harrington. This guy still is not priced as insanely high as some of the names we'll get to later, but having him right there in front of you, well, that's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Steve became so popular that even though he's not the main protagonist, his presence at any event instantly steals all the attention. So if you want to hire him, you're looking at anywhere between $75,000 all the way up to $150,000. And honestly, that mostly depends on how majestic you want the hair to look that day. And of course, whatever number his agency decides to throw at you. Just for some perspective though, if you had hired Joe Keery back in season 1, it would have cost you around $20,000. Hair included with premium package. And I know we said that older actors usually don't charge as much as the younger, but David Harbour, our beloved Hopper, is kind of a different story. Over the seasons, he's become a really key character in the show, which puts him in a much higher price range compared to poor Dr. Brenner. The good news is, his price still doesn't explode as hard as some of the younger cast members. So, if you want Hopper showing up to your event, mustache included, you're looking at around $75,000. And now we move a little higher. This is where actors like Charlie Heaton, Jonathan Byers come in. Hiring him is estimated at around $85,000. Now, he's definitely liked by fans, but he's not as popular as some other cast members. And yeah, I know it sounds weird that he costs more than actors like Sadie Sink or even Gaten, but there's actually a pretty reasonable explanation for that. The fewer public events or appearances an actor does, the more expensive they usually become. Charlie isn't someone who shows up at conventions all the time, so when he does agree to a private event, he charges more to make it worth his time. Meanwhile, actors like Gaten do a ton of events, which allows them to keep their prices a bit lower. But if your biggest dream is having Vecna himself show up in person, yeah, that's actually possible. It just gets a little more expensive. Hiring Jamie Campbell Bower would cost you somewhere between $75,000 and $150,000. After season 4, his demand went through the roof, and so did his price. And if you want him with the full makeup, full Vecna look, and full Henry Creel transformation, yeah, that's gonna be another $50,000 on top. But honestly, totally worth it. Don't even pretend it's not. Now, you might think that actors who appeared less on Stranger Things would be cheaper. Well, surprise! It's actually the opposite. Take Dacre Montgomery, who played Billy. Even though he's no longer on the show, hiring him would still cost somewhere between $80,000 and $150,000. He still has a massive fan base, and on top of that, he has a music career, which pushes his price even higher. So imagine this, he doesn't just show up to your party to eat cake. He might actually perform too. That alone kinda explains the extra cost. And from here on out, we're officially entered prices that selling both kidneys still wouldn't cover. The first one that definitely won't come cheap is Maya Hawke, who plays Robin. Her price is estimated somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000. Her character is one of the most loved in the show. She has a strong last name and a solid career outside of Stranger Things. So yeah, she's not cheap at all. I mean, she's literally the daughter of Uma Thurman. That alone already tells you everything you need to know. Right around that same level, we have Noah Schnapp, who plays Will, with his character getting a lot more focus recently. Plus, popularity outside the show, his price would likely sit somewhere between $120,000 and $200,000 just to have him show up for a short time. And honestly, you might want to hurry, because after the final season, that number could easily double. Just for perspective, by the way, when the main kids joined the show in season 1, their prices were around $10,000 to $15,000. Yeah, wild. Now we're officially in the zone where you have to decide between keeping your house or having one of these people at your party. Leading this tier is Finn Wolfhard, who plays Mike. His agency doesn't list an official price, but considering he's been a main character since day one, he's also a musician, started in huge franchises like It, and even directs now, yeah, he's easily estimated between $150,000 and $250,000. And if you want him to sing too, that's definitely extra. In that same price range, we also have Eddie Munson, played by Joseph Quinn. And he is a special case. Even though he only appeared in one season, his impact was insane. T-shirts, memes, concerts, TikToks, everything. So purely based on demand, Eddie could easily cost anywhere between $150,000 and $300,000. And of course, a few extra dollars if you want him to play Master of Puppets like in the show. Now we're reaching the final stretch, the part where you just accept it's not happening. Here we have Winona Ryder, who plays Joyce. She doesn't publish official prices, and she's not the most central character, but let's be real, she's a Hollywood legend. Stranger Things brought her back into the spotlight in a huge way, and that alone skyrocketed her value. So realistically, she could be anywhere between $250,000 and $400,000. Yeah, it's getting serious now. And finally, the two names that basically require selling your house, your car, and your soul. First up, McLaughlin, who plays Lucas. This one surprises a lot of people, but he sits somewhere between $300,000 and almost $500,000. He's a main character, has a very strong personal brand, and shows up to a lot of high-profile events. That combination alone drives the price way up. And last, but very obviously not least, you already know who this is. Millie Bobby Brown. 11. The face of Stranger Things. She basically is the brand. Movies, red carpets, Netflix, everything runs through her. The price also lands somewhere between $300,000 and nearly $500,000. And honestly, if she shows up at your party, you probably don't need to work ever again. Although, let's be real, she's probably not leaving her family just to show up at your event. Unless you throw in a little extra money. And there you have it. Those are the estimated prices it'll take to hire the Stranger Things cast. So now the question is simple. If you actually had the money, who would you hire first before going completely broke? And what other show or cast should we do next? Let me know in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more.